Now for my boots, I actually do prefer this on my boots for the implicit modifier, the +3 max evade charges. It's just that I got a exact same pair of the boots with just better rolls in every single slot. So I switched. I occasionally switch back to these boots with the +3 evasion charges for the idea that you just move a lot faster with those. By the time you use your fourth evade charge, usually you have another one up and you're getting 5 in a row or so. So you can really, really dance through dungeons or even in the open world. It's really helpful. I don't even mount most of the time. I have so much movement speed. It just the mounts seem so clunky in this game. I really don't like them. They don't seem to move very well, and they don't interact with the just the objects in the terrain very well. Just like nipping something on the corner will sometimes completely stop you. Uh, the stat I'm using on here is Fortified Generation plus 30.8%. That's pretty important to me for the Fortified Generation. I do have a lot of it, and I'm thinking about going in another direction for that stat in the future. But as of right now, on the boots I'm currently wearing, we're using Fortified Generation. Uh, that may be something you may or may not want, but when you have 16,000 HP, it takes a while to get up there, um, and you really want to be at full fortified for this build. It's going to increase your damage. Uh, Next up here, movement speed. Movement speed's best on boots for, I do believe, every character. The faster you move, the better, always, especially if you're just farming. Uh, this build is very good at level 100 zones, just going in wave clearing and farming. Um, it seems to be very good at the endgame sigils too. I have not pushed it as hard as I could, mostly because doing all the paragon leveling to 100 has been a slog. Um, Next up here, damage reduction while injured. Every once in a while, and especially in higher level sigils, you're going to become injured. That's when your little life flask over here, it'll have like broken glass in it, almost like a werewolf scratched it. And that means you're injured, which means you take bonus damage in that time frame. Reducing that damage by almost 30% seems necessary, and something that you, especially in the higher sigils, you will not be able to get away with not having something like this. At least somewhere in your build. It doesn't have to be on your boots. I mean, it looks like you can get up to 43% on your boots, um, which is huge. What I was reading online, 85% damage reduction is the cap. But then again, monsters that are higher level than you, which all the sigils, higher sigils are, they're all over level 100 mobs, that they may have ways to reduce your, you know, damage reduction even lower due to them being a higher mob. I don't know that for sure. That's just conjecture. Uh, no one really knows if that is the case. Um, for my weapon, I'm using a two-handed mace currently. I am going to look into using a one-hand weapon and a totem as my offhand um, to see how that feels. That is going to be the next video. We'll see what goes on with that. But as for now, using a two-handed mace, Druids like love overpower. That is your big two damage windows. You will get two different ways to overpower enemies. I do believe the first way is once every 12 seconds, no matter what, you get an overpower. And once every time you kill 20 enemies, you get another overpower. This is the main thing that I've been pumping on this build for those big crits when they happen. Uh, The rolls on here are core skill damage. That's just, your Pulverize does more damage. Good. Critical strike damage with earth skills. Your Pulverize is an earth skill. Good damage. Willpower increases healing, damage done, and skill damage. And overpower damage. So, all good stats. 186 um, is a decent number to have there. Or sorry, 174 is a decent number to have there. Um, we also have critical strike damage. As always, critical strike damage is boss, and the Pulverize creates a shockwave. This is by far the best thing you use on a weapon here for the Druid Pulverize build, because this is what the build is built around. Um, they nerfed it. It used to be, I think, up to 300%. It's now only up to 100 to 200%. Still very good, and that is what the build is entirely built around. You can see also the gems that I'm using on this side. I'm using all royal rubies. The overpower damage in my weapon is just, more overpower damage, which is good. And then the max life is everywhere else. Sometimes I was using the damage reduction uh, gems. I may, when I get into higher sigils, switch back to those. But for now, I'm surviving well enough, and the extra life, as I said, gives me more damage and more survivability in a different way, as if something's going to hit me really hard. They have to do a ton of damage to actually kill me. Next up here, I recently just got this necklace. Is not exactly what I'm looking for. When I was grinding the level 100, I ended up just it was such a slog that I ended up just vendoring most of the loot I got and not even looking at it because I was speed running. I got to level 100 and we're somewhere around the top 6,000 players because they announced it about an hour after I hit 100 that only 6,000 players had reached the max. So me and another guildie of mine hit it right around that point. He actually hit it a few hours before me. I want to say about 8 hours before I did. Um, and what's on here is movement speed. Movement speed seems to be the best buff on your necklace and boots. The only place you can get it. You want to get as much as you can. Uh, the more you move, the better. The faster you can kill mobs, the more getting around you can get. Spirit cost reduction is also always really important. Um, the reason being, the less my Pulverite costs, the more I can cast it. The more I can cast it, the more damage I can do. Damage reduction, again, we're just stacking damage reduction as much as we can. And then +3 ranks of Wild Impulses. This is just something that came on it. It is not a bad talent to have. I will go and show you what Wild Impulses does right now. So here it is. So essentially, it's giving me an additional 9% more cost of my core skills. So they cost more spirit, but I'm dealing an additional 15% damage just from those three extra points for a total of 30% bonus damage. So in that slot, it's essentially a 15% damage buff. Um, and when I was rolling through everything, we're at like $2 million of cost to reroll here on this necklace. So we stopped there with this with 15% damage buff. Here's probably my best ring. I don't know if I'll ever replace this. This is pretty bis here. And it's got the imprint, which is restore primary resource when you crowd control an enemy, which my boots have the imprint Earth slows skills enemies by 45%. So my Pulverize is always going to slow everything, and since everything is slow, as long as they don't die in the first hit, they will then restore 4 of my primary resource per enemy hit. This is the best way I found to generate resources right now. If you don't have this, some of the other things I was running is the +2 to earth skills, which is good for damage. And then instead of the resource restore, I was running the increase your maximum spirit by 30% and spirit generation by 21. Grizzly Rage is active. The big point of this is if you don't have a 3 or 4 roll on this item, you may not want to go. The 1 or 2 isn't going to be enough spirit to really keep you going. The 3 and 4s definitely are. So if you don't have this or having an issue finding something as good as that, or this is an implicit, you can get this from the imprint from a dungeon. It's one of the dungeons you can do, so you can always have it. I found a 45% roll, so that's why we're using that one. Um, but the combo is very good. Slowing everything, getting all your spirit back, and then the stats on my ring: crit strike perfect, uh, crit strike chance perfect, and crit strike damage perfect, with a almost perfect max life roll. Um, just straight pog. I mean, there's nothing. I don't know if I could ever. I don't know what I beat that with. I think some people think vulnerable damage would be better in this slot. I am currently not running very much vulnerable damage at all, as you can see. My other ring is mostly just for the Grizzly Rage increased by 5 seconds. You want to be in Grizzly Rage as long as possible. It currently lasts 17.5 seconds, okay, with the ring, and then can add an additional 5 seconds for each enemy killed. And that's very important. So I can get that up to essentially be the big thing is that you're unstoppable during your Grizzly Rage. So when there's a big fight going on and monsters aren't dying as fast as you would like them to, you're not going to get stunned. You're not going to get stuck in place where they just beat on you endlessly. And in the higher level sigils, that is what you want to avoid. Everything in this kit, except for this move here, the Debilitating Roar, are going to be ways for you to break and become unstoppable. Trample makes you unstoppable. Earthen Bulwark makes you unstoppable. These are all ways that for survivability to get the most out of the build. For this ring, was just something I threw together. The close damage is really good for the Pulverize on the gloves. Also, when you're fighting bosses, they always like to stand on your face. More crit's always good. Fortify generation, just as I said, I have a lot of HP. I wanted to see, if I need this. I'm currently phasing these out, the fortify generation, in a lot of my items, just to see if I do need it or if I don't. I'm trying to find items very similar to this, add it in, and then see and go from there. Uh, and that's it for my items. The boons, we're going to go into here. We're going to go with reduced damage from elites. Seems very good. I don't see anything in here. Maybe 10 spirit, but even at this point at the end game, I don't need it. Maybe somewhere early along you would take that if the elites aren't hurting you. Um, but definitely at the higher levels, you want the reduced damage. 30% crit strike damage. I took this over the 5 crit. I'm already at 37.5% crit. I think the extra damage is more important there then. Extended duration of ultimate skills. We want to be in Grizzly Rage as long as possible. Just pure and simple. And then our one that we get 2 boons with is going to be the Deer. And it's the every 20th kill will cause your next Earth skill to overpower. And then your nature magic skills have up to a 10% chance to reduce the cooldown of your ultimate skill by 2 seconds. That can be very useful. So a lot of times, if you're really just grinding through a dungeon and just going fast, your Grizzly Rage will almost never be on cooldown. You'll just go into it for the 22.5 seconds with the 5-second extended. Come out of it, crit a few times, and the cooldown will be back down, and you'll be ready to go straight back into it. A lot of times, what I'm doing is I'm finding a big group of mobs, going Grizzly Rage, fighting them down. After the Grizzly Rage runs off, we're putting the Earthen Bulwark up. If the Earthen Bulwark gets taken off, which takes off my Unstoppable, we trample away to get away from them and wait for our Grizzly Rage to come back down. Especially in the higher sigils, you want to be unstoppable the entire fight. Um, that way they don't bog you down because they will just stun lock you and you will not be able to move. Um, and that is everything for the basic part of this build. If you have any questions about anything, wanted me to look into some other builds for you, or if you just had some questions about the Paragon tree, let me know. I stream a lot on Twitch as Blackmanta 15, and you can catch me there sometimes streaming. Otherwise, it will just be my videos here on YouTube. Thank you very much, and you have yourself a wonderful day.